This conference will now be recorded.
So in the previous session, we have discussed about the parent components and child components and how can we invoke the child component methods from parent component. That means how to invoke the child component JavaScript method from parent component JavaScript we have discussed. That means parent-child communication we have discussed. Now, today we'll see how to make server calls. So server calls in the sense what? Invoking Apex calls, Apex programming code. Till now, we have invoked JavaScript code. By using this JavaScript code, we can do some basic operations. But in some cases, I don't want to invoke this JavaScript call. I would like to connect to Apex database, that means Salesforce objects. Whenever if you want to interact with the Salesforce objects, then we have to use Apex programming. Through Apex programming, we can interact with the Salesforce objects and we can perform all the operations whatever you want. Like it may be insertion, it may be updation, it may be deletion, it may be fetching the records from the object also, whatever you want. If you want to perform any database related operations, then we require Apex programming. So in today's session, we'll see how to call an Apex method from JavaScript. That means from Lightning Web Component. We'll see how can we invoke and what are the various methods are available to invoking these Apex methods from our Lightning Web Component. Okay, we'll see practically. Generally, upon invoking this Apex methods or Apex business logic from Lightning Web Component, we have three ways are available. We have a three ways. Now, the first one, we can use a wire service. That means at the rate wire decorator. That already we know, because that already told you by using at the rate wire decorator, we can interact with the Salesforce objects and we can fetch the data as well. So by using this wire service, that is also called as at the wire service or at the rate wire decorator. By using this wire service also, we can interact with the Salesforce objects through Apex calls. Second one, imperative method. Okay, imperative method. So then how can we prepare an Apex class method? How can we invoke? We'll see practically. Basically, here we have three ways are available to invoke your Apex code. First one, we can able to wire a property, and second one, we can wire to a function. Third one, we can call that method imperatively. These are the three ways are available here. Now, let's see how can we do that. Okay, how can we do that? Now, how to wire to a property, how to wire to a function, and how to call imperatively. We'll see these three methods. Now, so in this case, whenever if you are going to be invoking the Apex class methods from your Lightning Web Components, we are using at the rate wire decorator or wire service, and second one is imperative methods. Now, let me give that each and every way and how can we implement that. We'll see the practical approach also. By using Lightning Web Components, we can interact with the Salesforce objects through by invoking the Apex methods. Through by invoking the Apex methods. Now, that is from Lightning Web Component, we can invoke the Apex methods from JavaScript. From JavaScript. If the Apex method is a parameterized, then we can supply the input value to the method from JavaScript. So whenever we are invoking these Apex methods, some methods may be non-parameterized, some methods may be parameterized. So if the method is a non-parameterized, then directly we can invoke them. We no need to supply any parameter values. Suppose if the Apex method is having any parameters, then we have to pass the values. We have to pass the values for those parameters. Based on those parameter values, we can able to fetch that exact result, whatever you want. Now, so in this case, we have to prepare an Apex method, which may be a parameterized or non-parameterized, whatever. And we can invoke that Apex method from a JavaScript of your Lightning Web Component. Inside your Lightning Web Component, whatever the JavaScript file that we have, in that JavaScript file, we can prepare a method. In that method, we can call that Apex class methods also. Because directly the Lightning Web Component controls can't invoke that server methods directly. We have to use JavaScript. Through the JavaScript only, we can call that methods. Now, so today we'll see how can we do that here. So now, while invoking this, while invoking Apex class methods from the Lightning Web Component, here we have three ways are available. Three ways are available. First one here. Now, first one, we can wire to a property, we can wire to a function, and third one, we can call that method imperatively. Now, let's see in this case here, how can we do that? Now, first we'll go with that, wire decorator. In that wire decorator, how to wire to a property, how to wire to a function, we'll see, and then we'll go with that imperative method. While invoking Apex methods from Lightning Web Component, we have the below two ways. First one, by using @wire decorator. Second one, by calling the Apex methods imperatively. These are the two ways here. Wire decorator and then imperative process. In wire decorator, we have two ways. First one is we can wire to a property. Second one, we can wire to a function. Both. We can do that. Now, wire decorator here. When should we go for wire decorator here in order to call this Apex class? Whenever the component is getting loaded, whenever the component is getting loaded, then if you want to call those methods, Apex methods, then we can go with wire decorator. So wire decorator is going to be used whenever we are calling that methods, asynchronously, whenever the component is getting loaded. Suppose upon click on a button control, there is a button control is available on my user interface. So when I click on the button control, if you want to do some operations, if you want to call some Apex methods, then we have to go with that imperative method. So upon click on a button control, if you want to do some operations, if you want to invoke that Apex class methods, then we can go with that imperative methods. Now, So while decorator will be used, that means while service will be used whenever the component is getting loaded or okay, upon re-rendering the component, if you want to invoke some Apex calls, then we can go with that while decorator or while service. Second one, upon click on a button control, that means based on some events. Based on some events, if you want to invoke some Apex methods, then we can go with the help of okay imperative method. Then how can we do that? Okay, we'll see practically now. This approach is used. This approach is used if the user wants to invoke an Apex call upon loading the method, upon loading the component. Whenever the component is getting loaded, okay, like as page load, like that, page load. Now, page load, whenever the page is getting loaded, if you want to do some operations, like the similar way, whenever the component is getting loaded, if you want to fetch some data, then at that time directly we can use this while service. Now, second one, imperative method. This approach is used if the user wants to invoke the Apex method upon click on a button control. Upon click on a button control. So when the user click on this button control, if you want to invoke some Apex methods, then we can go with that imperative methods. Now, so in this case here, how can we do this one? First, we'll see, go with that while, okay, while decorator here. Then how can we do that here? Now, whenever we are using this while decorator, so we can able to, okay, invoke the Apex method and then we can bind that data. That means whatever the result has been written by that method, now that data we can bind to a property also. That means a while property also. Because at the rate while property can able to store the result of a Apex call. Whenever we are invoking an Apex method, the Apex method will return some value. So now that value may be a single value also, that may be a single record also, that may be a collection also, whatever it might be. So now because sometimes I'm getting the account records from the object, so that method will return a list of account records. So that while property can able to handle. It can store either a single value also, a single record also, or it may be like as a collection of records also it can able to handle. So now here in this case, you can now here in this case, whenever we are using this while decorator, so now we can able to bind that Apex call results to a while property. That means a property of your JavaScript which should be defined with at the rate while, which can able to store an Apex call result also. Whatever the select statement that you have invoked, that select statement will be returning some records to you. So now those records we can able to store inside this property which has been defined as at the rate while. That already we have discussed the three properties, like as a track decorator and then API decorator and the while decorator. Three we have discussed in the previous session. Now, so in this case here, by using while service, we can invoke the Apex methods and we can bind the data. We can bind the Apex call results to your while property, or function. A while property or function here. Now, that is, so now we can invoke the Apex call, and we can store the result inside the below approach. Okay, and we can store the result as this. What happened to this? Now, as below. First one, we can bind the apex call to a wire property, and we can bind the apex call to a wire function. Apex call means invoking an apex method. That's it. So here we have two scenarios. So now we can use wire property or we can use wire function. How to use wire property, how to use wire function. Okay, we'll see practically in this case here. Now, then how can we do this? So let's go with that, okay, wire property first. Now, wire property with apex. First we'll go with that. That means in this approach, what we can do, we can invoke an apex call and then we can able to bind. Okay, we can bind that result to a JavaScript property here. We can bind a JavaScript property which has been defined with the help of a decorator at the rate wire. So at the rate wire decorator, we can bind this apex call results also inside that. Now, so now here in this case here, how can we do that? Okay, how can we do that? Okay, now let's see practically in this case here. In this approach, we can invoke an apex call and we can bind the result. We can bind the result to a JavaScript property. To a JavaScript property. That means variable. Okay, that means variable which has been defined with at the rate wire decorator. At the rate wire decorator. Now, this is the fundamental principle. So wire property with apex means what? Whatever the apex calls that you have made, so now that apex call result, whenever we are invoking any apex method, that result we can able to store inside a property, a JavaScript property or a variable which has been defined with at the rate wire decorator. So which can store either a single value also, or it may be a single record, it may be a collection of records also it can able to handle. Now, then what are the various steps that we used to follow over here? So now whenever we are going to be implementing this functionality, what are the various approaches that we used to follow over here? Now let's see the first one, steps to implement here. So as a step one, first of all, prepare an apex class method. As a step one, first of all, prepare that apex class method which you would like to invoke from Lightning Web Component. So which apex class method you would like to invoke? First of all, prepare that apex class method, and then that method should be annotated with at the rate ARA enabled. ARA enabled is an annotation that already we know. Okay, during our ARA components also we have discussed okay how to prepare a Apex class method by using @ARA enabled, and then how to invoke that method from Lightning components also we have discussed. So now, but here the approach is a bit different over here. We'll see how can we do that. So first of all, we have to define an Apex class method. Define an Apex class method, which should be annotated with @ARA enabled annotation. Annotation. This is the first step. Now, so that we have to specify the syntax. @ARA enabled, ARA enabled. That means this method can be enabled. This method can be accessible from your ARA components also, and then Lightning Web components also. That means from ARA applications. Now, we have to specify and then prepare your method. Now we can specify the access specifier. We can specify static. We can specify the return type, and then specify the method name, and then optionally we can pass the parameters. Here we can write the logic. Write the business logic. And then whenever we are going to be invoking this method, suppose frequently if you are calling this method, then no need to invoke this method every time again and again and again. Just you can make it cacheable, so that we can specify cacheable equals to true. That means please store this result inside a cache. That means in the server cases, so that whenever if the user is invoking this method again, then don't call to the database, just you can collect it from the cache. So for that reason, if you want to maintain the cache, okay, then we can go with the cacheable. Okay, cacheable equals to true, so that here once the data has been getting collected from that Apex method, through Apex method it will invoke to that respective database object, it will get the data, and then it will represent onto your user interface as well. And along with that, so now we can able to store this inside a cache. Suppose if you are refreshing this page again, okay, within some fraction of seconds, within some fraction of minutes, so instead of going to the database again, it will collect it from the cache also, so that we can improve the application performance by reducing the number of server calls. This is the first one. Now, so now here in this case, as a step one, we have to prepare a Apex method inside your Apex class, which has to be annotated with the help of an annotation @ARA enabled. Now, for example, I'm preparing this method. Now, I'm preparing the class, public class accounts helper. I'm preparing this public static list of account. That means this method is going to be returning some list of account records over here. Now, get all accounts. Now here I'm writing this list of account lst accounts equals to, I'm indicating this select ID, name, rating, industry from account. Once all the records are available here, then I would like to return this list of account records. So return LST accounts. This is a method which I have prepared. Now this method I want to invocable from my Lightning Web components, so that I'm indicating @ARA enabled. I would like to maintain the cacheable management. Cacheable equals to true. This is the first step as a step one. This is the first step. You know how to prepare your Apex classes, how to prepare the methods, SQL queries, DML operations, everything we know, nothing different here. This is the first step. Now, in this case here, for example, whenever we are having any Apex methods are available, which are not having with cacheable equals to true, which are not having cacheable equals to true. That means if they are not using this cache mechanism, then compulsorily we have to invoke imperatively. While service will not support, so we have to go with that imperative method. That means every time we have to invoke it. Because upon click on the button control, every time we would like to reload the data, right? The latest data, latest information you would like to fetch. For that reason here, we can go with that imperative method. Now, this is the first step. So once it is available, then as a step 2, once a method is ready, then import this Apex class method inside your Lightning Web Components JavaScript. We have to import this method inside your JavaScript of your Lightning Web Component. So then what we can do in this case here, how can we do that? Okay, now let's see practically in this case. As a step 2, import the Apex method inside the JavaScript of the Lightning Web Component. Now we have to invoke it. Then how to import this one? Now let's see the syntax. Syntax, we have to specify import, specify the Apex method name, Apex class method name from, you can specify @Salesforce /Apex, and here we can specify your namespace. Suppose if you're using a specific namespace, then you can specify namespace dot your Apex class name dot your Apex method name. This is the way. Now import, that means please import this particular method because I want to call this a method, so which is available in this particular namespace, in this class, in this is the method here. So please import this method. This is Apex class method. Okay, Apex method name I'm clearly indicating to you. So now as a step 2, so we have to import this method inside your JavaScript of your Lightning Web Component. Now, so that here we have to specify which method you are going to invoke from this JavaScript. Specify the method name and specify the exact location where exactly it is available. So now go to my Salesforce org, go to that Apex classes here. In that one, we have a namespace. In this namespace, we have a class. This is the class name. And in this class, this is the method which I would like to invoke. So that here we can specify. Now, for example, as part of our implementation, what is our method name here? Get all accounts. So that we can specify that import get all accounts from, we can specify @Salesforce /Apex / we have any namespace? No, we don't have any namespace. And then we have to specify the class name. Class name here we can specify, this is our class name, accounts helper dot method name is what? Get all accounts method name. Just you can specify, that's it. Okay, we have to import it over here. This is the second step. We have to import. And third one, as a step 3, so bind your Apex method. That means it will be importing, it will be invoking this method automatically here. Now here what I need to do, I would like to get this method's result, and then I would like to store inside a JavaScript property or a function. Then how can we do that here? How to wire to a property, how to wire to a function here? We'll see practically in this case here. Now as a step 3, invoke the Apex method and bind the results to the JavaScript property. JavaScript property which has been defined with @while decorator. It has been defined with @while decorator. The syntax. Just you can specify that @while. Now we can specify your. Here I'm going to be indicating this your Apex method name, and then we can specify JavaScript property name. JavaScript property name. That's it. Simple. Over. Done. We no need to do any additional things over here. Now, so in this case here, whenever we are going to be defining this one, so in this case, whatever the JavaScript variable we have defined, just you can specify the variable name, then @while decorator automatically invoking this particular Apex method. How it is invoking? Already it has been imported here. So just you can, it will go to that Apex method here. It will verify. So now where is this method is available inside the class? It will go to that Salesforce. It will go to the Apex module. Inside that, go to the namespace, go to the class. It will invoke the method. It will collect that result. That result will store into this variable automatically. Simple concept. Once the data is available inside this particular variable property here, that means variable. So now we can able to get this data by using a property called as a parameter called as a data property, or else we can get the error messages by using this error property over here. Now, so now here in this case here, now once the method has been called, then it will return the result. Or errors. Now we can access. Now we can access the data or results as below. Now the syntax is, we can specify JavaScript property name dot data. Okay, now this is the syntax we have to follow. We can get the error messages as below. Syntax is, we can specify JavaScript property name dot error. Okay, error. This is the syntax here we have to follow. Now, so now here we can specify. How can we define that? Okay, now let me explain. For example, I'm defining a JavaScript property. Now I would like to specify that. Depends upon your requirement, we can able to specify this. I'm having a property @track, okay, track decorator. Because in this particular track decorator is what? It is defining a private properties here, which can be accessible within the component. So I'm indicating account records. Now here we can specify @while. Now I would like to call the method. What is that method name here? My Apex method name is what? Get all accounts. Okay, get all accounts. So now @while means which will be invoking this Apex method over here by referencing to the respective class. And once the method has been invoked, whatever the values are available, these values will be storing inside my property. That means variable, that is, okay, account records. That's it. Okay, this is the way we can able to get it. From there, we can able to get that values. Okay, by using this dot data, we can able to fetch it, and then dot error, we can able to get the values, error messages also. Now, results we can get account records dot data, and the error messages. We can get it account records dot error. So these are the three simple steps are available. Once the data is available inside your JavaScript property, then you can display into your Lightning Web component by using some HTML tags. That's it. Simple. So now in this case here, how can we do that here? So whenever if you want to invoke this Java Apex class method and from the JavaScript or from your Lightning Web Component, okay, then this is the first approach by using while decorator. Go to your while decorator and then we can able to invoke your Apex class method and then store that result inside a JavaScript property, and then we can represent that results on your Lightning Web Component. Then how to do that? Now let me show you. Then we will see the second approach, like as how to bind to the function. Okay, we'll see practically as well here. Now, let's see how can we indicate this. Now, first of all, let me prepare an Apex class. I'm going to my Salesforce arc. Let me go to that Salesforce arc, go to the Control P, open default arc. Now I'm going to the developer console. Let me prepare an Apex class. Apex class. So now here I'm indicating account records helper or controller. Okay, account records controller. Okay, this is Apex class which I'm going to prepare. From here, I would like to collect all the account records, whatever we have. Now, so now here I'm indicating this. You can write this Apex class from your local environment also. That means by using Visual Studio code also, and then you can push it into your organization. No issues. Now public static list of account, get all account records, get all account records, where I would like to make this method to be okay accessible from Lightning Web Component. So that I'm indicating ARA enabled. ARA enabled, I'm indicating cacheable true. That means please maintain a cache mechanism here. Upon fetching the data from that account object, please store inside the cache. Suppose if the user is keep on requesting for the same data again and again and again, then don't go to the database, get it from that cache management itself directly, so that we can reduce the number of server calls. So now here I'm indicating a list collection, list of account. I'm indicating select ID, name, rating, industry, annual revenue, phone and fax, from account. From account, order by name. So once the records has been getting collected from my account object, I'm storing them to a list collection. Then I would like to return this list collection, list accounts. So now I'm ready with my Apex class. So this is the class which I have prepared. Inside my class, okay, account records controller, I have prepared a method called as get all account records. So where I have made this method can be accessible from Lightning Web Component, so that here I'm indicating this method with the annotation @ARA enabled and cacheable equals to true. So now here we are going to be writing this SQL query to fetch the records from the object, and those records I'm returning back. Now, this is the first step. So now we are done with that step one. We are ready with your Apex class. As a step two, import this Apex class method inside your JavaScript here. Now, let me prepare a Lightning Web Component here. Control Shift P, create a Lightning Web Component. Show account records component. Use the default directory here. So now show account records component template is available here, and along with that we are having this JavaScript file also. Go to this JavaScript file, and here we have to import this. Okay, import, specify your method name. What is my method name here? So now let me check. This is the method name. Okay, now get all account records from, we can specify that, okay, namespace at the rate Salesforce at the rate Salesforce Apex slash, specify your class name. What is my class name? Account records controller. Dot, what is my method name? Get all account records. This is my method. That's it. This is the second step. So as a step two, okay, as a step two, what we need to do, we have to import this particular, okay, class Apex method, okay, into your Lightning Web Components JavaScript. And then inside this JavaScript, okay, then here we can able to invoke it. How to invoke that? So that I'm defining a property here at the rate track account records. Okay, account records. Whenever we are using this decorator, we have to add this track decorator inside your import, inside your JavaScript with the import the rate track. Now, so now define a wire property here. Define at the rate wire. Now specify your Apex method name. What is your method name? Okay, get all accounts. Please invoke this method. Store this data inside this particular variable here. Okay. Whenever we are using this at the rate wire here, we have to add the import that at the rate wire decorator also. Okay, wire decorator. That's it. Done. So now here what we did, so now here I'm going to be invoking this method over here. This method data I'm storing inside this variable. Now this variable we can access from your Lightning Web Component variable. That's what I have defined this. So this variable I have defined as at the rate track, because this variable can be, this collection data we can access within this component only, not from other components, not from the parent components, not from the other components here, because it's local to the component here that already we know, because track decorator will make that property or function are private. Now let's save this. Now done. So next one, as a step 3, now I would like to represent this data on my Lightning Web Component here. Go to that HTML template over here. Now here we can able to represent this. So now here I'm using this template tag again, template tag, okay, template tag in order to represent the records over here in the form of a template over here. Now we can specify. Now for each, I'm using this, okay, for each loop, for each and every record, I would like to iterate this one. So that I'm using this template, I'm iterating this collection. Whatever the collection that we have, that means variable. In that variable, we have some collection of records, right? So generally what we are doing, we need to iterate this collection from starting to ending, right? So that here I would like to iterate this one by using template, okay, for each and every record here available inside the collection. So here we have to specify that collection name. Collection means what? Our property here. This is the property where exactly the records has been placed. So that here you can specify that for each and every collection. And then here we can specify that each record here. Okay, for item. That means like as if it is an enhanced for loop we are using for each and every collection, for each and every element from the collection. This is the collection name. Here item. Item means here we can specify one reference name, like as a where property in your Java inside your Visual Force. So that here I'm indicating ACC. That means please go to this collection, iterate the collection from starting to ending. Then how to get the data from this property here? In order to get that, we have to specify dot data. Okay, dot data, because it's a property, right? In this property, we are having some records are available. So to get that records information, we are using dot data, and then we can specify this each and every record. And then here we can represent that by using lightning card. I'm using a lightning card component. lightning card. Here I would like to specify. So the key equals to, okay, key equals to, I would like to specify that ACC dot name. I'm going to be collecting this here. Icon name equals to, I would like to use standard account. Okay, now here I'm representing this. I'm using a paragraph. I would like to specify that ACC dot name. That's it. So I'm using a lightning card. That means in each and every lightning card, I would like to show that separate account records. Whatever the account records are available, I want to represent them, okay, on my in the form of lightning cards over here. That's it. Done. So whatever the records are available, we can get that records from that JavaScript property, and then we can represent them on your lightning card. Now that's it, simple. We have prepared an Apex class. Apex class method we have invoked by using @while decorator. And then whenever I'm invoking this method, whatever the records it has written, those records I'm storing inside my variable here. That means property is also called as property. Now this property can be accessible within this component only over here. Okay, this can be accessible within this component only, so that here we can able to specify that. Okay, so that we can able to specify that over here. Now, so now this component, that means this variable is having all this respect to collection of records, and then get all the records available over here by using dot data, because that already told you. Once the data has been stored inside this JavaScript property, we can get that data in the form of data property, and then we can able to access that errors information by using error property. Now I'm getting all the records over here. From those records, I'm iterating this record from starting to ending. I'm collecting each record, and then I'm storing in the reference variable ACC. From there, I would like to represent this account record name over here. Now let me execute it. Now this is my component name. Let me invoke it. Ara components, Ara application. So what is my component name? Now let's see. It is show account records component. Now invoke this. Push the code into your Salesforce arc. Now let's go to that. Let me open this preview. Let's see. So whatever the records are available, all the records we can able to see. So inside my account object, I'm having this records like as data loader test account 1, and then data loader test account 10, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. Ramesh Kumar, sample accounts for entitlement, sample test account. These are the records are available inside my Scratch arc, and then I can able to see all those records as well here. This is how we need to collect those records, okay, from the account object through Apex class methods, and then those methods we can invoke from JavaScript from your lightning web component by binding to that wire property. Now, this is a functionality. Okay, now let's see how can we bind it to a wire function. How to bind it to a wire function, we'll see. Simple functionality, no change at all. Let me give you that code. Design a lightning component to represent all the account record names while loading the component. Now, Apex class, JavaScript, HTML. Let me place this Apex class code first. Let me go to the JavaScript. Third one, go to the HTML. This is the way. Now, so now here we are invoking this Apex class methods, okay, from your JavaScript by using, okay, void decorator. That means the void service, and then we are storing them to a JavaScript property. Now, second one here, how to invoke this Apex class method from JavaScript, and then how to store inside a function, how to bind it to a function. Okay, now let's see practically in this case. Now, whenever we are invoking this Apex class method, if the Apex class has been executed successfully, it returns that result in the form of a property called as data. If the method has found some errors, okay, if it is unable to execute, if the invocation has been failed, then it will be giving the result in the form of error. Okay, that means whatever the errors are available, those errors will be returning in the form of a property called as error here. Now, then how can we do that? Okay, now let's see practically in this case. So how can we invoke this? Now let's see. Now let me explain. While function with Apex. So here also, now let's see. Similar functionality. First two steps are same. And the third one is also almost same. Okay, I will be giving that information as well to you. So now in this approach, what we can do, we can invoke your Apex call and we can bind the result to a JavaScript function. Okay, so now JavaScript function here. So now which has been defined with @while decorator. Okay, a while function. So here also, so we can go with that. Okay, define an Apex class method which should be annotated with @RA enabled. Same step, no change. And then we have to import this Apex class method into your JavaScript also. This is also same, no change at all. And then invoke the Apex class method and bind the results to JavaScript function. Okay, JavaScript function, which has been defined @while decorator. Whenever we are calling this a method, it will return the result or error. That means if the method has been success, it returns the result here in the form of data. If the method call is success. Now, if the method call failed, that means upon executing that code, if there is any errors are available, those errors it is going to be returning in the form of a property called as error here. Now, so now here we can able to specify this here. Now here we can specify data and the functions. Now let me give you that syntax. In this case here, let's see how can we do that. So now we can access the data or results, okay, by using data property if the method call is success. And we can get the error messages, okay, by using error property if the method call has been failed. Now the syntax. Here we can specify @while, specify your Apex class method. Okay, Apex class. Whatever the Apex method you would like to invoke, that can specify here at the rate wire and then specify the method. And then here we can specify the JavaScript method. JavaScript method name, here you will be having two parameters will be available. One is data, second one error. That means what will happen in this case? So now if the method has been executed successfully, okay, if this Apex method has been executed successfully, then whatever the results have been written, those results will be storing inside this data. If there is any issues are available here, that will be storing in the form of this property, that is error here. So now here we can able to specify here. We can store these values wherever you want. Now, here we can verify the condition. If data, that means if there are some records are available, then here we can able to store them into a JavaScript property here. We can specify JavaScript property name equals to data. Else say error. That means if there are some errors are available, then we can able to store them. Okay. JavaScript property name equals to error. Or we can able to show them in the console.log also. Now error. We can able to show them here. That's it directly. Now directly we can able to define. So now here whatever the Apex class that we have, we can invoke the Apex class method by using a JavaScript method, and then we can able to store that result okay inside this data and error properties. So if the method has been successfully called, if it has returned that result, it will store inside the data property, or else it will store the errors information in error property. From there we can able to collect that. Based on that we can show some error messages also. Tomorrow we'll see how to show some error messages by using toast messages. Toast messages in the sense upon inserting the record if it is giving some message. Like for example, assume that I'm creating a record inside my object. For example, let me try to create an account record. I'm creating an account record over here, new. I'm indicating now test account record sample. When I click on save button, it will save the record. It will be giving a green color message. See, this is called as toast message. How to show this kind of sample toast messages, we'll see practically in tomorrow's session. Those are called as toast messages. Now, so in this case, how can we do this one? Now let's see. The similar kind of approach, okay, no change at all. Okay, the same kind of approach will be available, no change at all over here. Now, so now here in this case here, how can we call this a method? So how to call this a method? Okay, now let's see practically in this case. Now, I would like to indicate the same example I would like to show you by using JavaScript function. A simple approach. Here we are using a property over here. Okay, we can store the data inside this variable, and then we can store the errors also inside a separate variable over there. Now, then how can we do that? Okay, now let's see practically in this case. Now, so now here I'm going to be using this at the rate y, specify your method name. Instead of storing inside a property, I would like to prepare a function. Okay, I would like to prepare a function over here. Now here I'm going to preparing that function. Get account records, so that whenever it is going to be invoking this Apex class method, whatever the results are available, those will be storing inside my method here. Now here for this method, I'm giving two properties, data, error. So now here we can able to specify this. So whatever the records are available, we can able to store. Now, if data, that means if the operation has been success, then I would like to store them. So now here account records, that means this dot account records equals to data. That's it. Else if error. Now I would like to show that error message over here. For that one, I would like to use a console log. Console.log. Error occurred. I would like to show that error message. That's it. Over. Now there is a way we can able to bind it to the JavaScript function. So now we can able to specify. So now we can specify @while decorator and then specify your Apex class method in the braces. That means here it is going to be executing this method. Now this method will be executed. Whatever the results have been collected, that results will be passing to this method. Now in this method, it is having two parameters here. Whenever it is executing the method, whatever the operations are done, okay, whatever the records has been collected, if the operation is success, it will store inside that data variable, or else it will store inside that error property. Now here we can represent them on your Lightning Web component. Here we no need to use data directly, we can use that variable name. That's it, simple. Previously here we have used .data, but here we are using directly that particular JavaScript property name, okay, where exactly the data has been stored. That's it. Now let's save it. Now let me invoke it here. Let me invoke the method. Refresh this one. Again, we can able to see the data here. See, all the records are getting visible as usual over here. Okay, all the records are getting visible. Suppose if you are getting, if you want to differentiate that, suppose here I'm indicating limit 5. I'm indicating limit 5. Let me save this here, limit 5. Now let's refresh this. Now we can see only 5 records. See, 5 records, not all. Once the records has been arranged from there, it will be collecting only 5. This is how we are going to implement this. Okay? Apex calls, where we can able to get that data from your Apex Salesforce objects, and then through Apex programming, and then we can able to represent them on your Lightning Web components by using JavaScript property or JavaScript functions. Now, let me place this code. Now design a Lightning Web component to represent 5 account records, and then while loading the component. Now let's see. I'm indicating this Apex class, JavaScript, and the HTML. Let me place this Apex class code. Go to this JavaScript. HTML. This is the way. By using this wire service, we can able to fetch that information as well over here. Now, second one, imperative methods. So what do you mean by these imperative methods? Okay, now let's see practically here. So in this case, as part of these imperative methods, whenever if you want to invoke your apex calls, okay, if you want to invoke your apex methods, upon click on some button controls based on some events, okay, based on some events, when you click on this button control, if you want to do some operations, then we are using the help of this imperative calls method. Then how can we do that? Okay, we'll see. So what is that approach we used to follow? Okay, now let's see practically in this case. Now, so here what I want to do is I would like to place a small button control and then I would like to represent the data. And now let's see practical imperative methods. Now, now, so now in this approach, we can invoke the apex methods. We can invoke the apex methods upon click on the button control. Upon click on the button controls. Now, note, if the user wants to invoke the apex method which are not, okay, which are not cacheable, which are not cacheable, we have to invoke them imperatively. That is cacheable equals to false. That means if you did not specify this particular, okay, parameter for your ARA enabled annotation, then compulsorily we have to invoke that method by using imperative mechanism. We can't call them to that where property. Where service won't support. Now, in this case here, what are the steps needs to be involved? How can we do that? Here also the first two steps are same. The first two steps are same. So as a step one, we have to define an apex class method, okay, which should be annotated with @ARA enable. You may pass, you may not pass this cacheable equals to true. Now, so now we have to specify that apex class method first, which should be annotated with the help of an annotation at the rate ara enabled. And then if you are not specifying this cacheable equals to true, then that method should be called compulsorily by using imperative mechanism. Okay, while property, while function will not support. Now, as a step 2, import this method into your JavaScript, same second step. Third step is make a call to that method here. How to make a call? As a step 3. Invoke the Apex method from JavaScript. So in this case here, what needs to be done? How can we invoke this method? Whatever the Apex class method is available, then we can able to specify that Apex class method here. Okay, Apex class method dot. Now it will be invoking that directly here. It will invoke that Apex class method directly. So now whenever it is executing this Apex class method, then sometimes the method will be executing successfully, it will return some results. So at that time here, if it is returning the result, then we have to specify. Okay, then we can specify result. Okay, result. Okay, now let's see. If it is returning result, then we are going to be using. Then result. If it is returning result, then we can able to store this result inside your JavaScript property over here. Now here we can specify that. We have to specify this. This dot JavaScript property name equals to, we have to specify that result. Now, next one here, dot catch. That means if there is any errors are available here, then dot catch. Catch. If there is any errors are available, then catch those errors over here. Error I'm indicating. Okay, if errors has been returned, then we can able to specify that. Then we can able to specify this, like as this dot JavaScript property name. Okay, we can specify error. And then we can show them on the console log also. Console.log error occurred. I would like to specify that error here. That's it. This is the way we have to use this syntax here. This is the syntax we have to follow. This is the imperative mechanism. So now here in this case, whenever we are executing this method, the method is going to be invoking. Okay, the method will be getting invoked. This is the piece of code here. So now we have to call your Apex class method. Whatever the Apex method we have prepared, Apex method name here we can specify that. Okay, open braces and close braces. Dot then. Okay, dot then. That means here we have to specify. That means if the method has been called, then what return it has, what is the result it has returned? Either it has returned the result or it has returned some errors. Then if there is any results are available, then store them to this JavaScript variable, and then we can use them in the Lightning Web components. Or else if there is an errors has been occurred, then catch that errors over here. Catch those errors over here and then store that. That means if it is returning error, then store them into a different property and then represent onto your toast message also. This is the error has been occurred over here. Now, this is the way we used to follow over here. Okay, this is the way we used to follow. Then how can we call this one? Okay, now let me show you practically in this case. Now, let's see how can we implement this functionality here. Now let me show the same example here. I would like to fetch all the records over here by using imperative method. Represent all account records. Okay. Upon click on the button control. When you click on the button control, I would like to do that. Now let's see. So now this is the Apex method which we have. which I would like to invoke. Now let's go to your JavaScript. So now as part of this JavaScript, I'm loading this, I'm importing this method name over here. And then here remove this piece of code. Now here I would like to write this code over here. Now how can we call this one? Here I would like to place a button control over here. I'm placing a button control, lightning button. Lightning button. I'm indicating label equals to, I would like to specify to all accounts. I'm indicating the variant equals to brand. And then I'm indicating on click. On click equals to, I would like to specify the method here. Okay. So now I would like to indicate on show all accounts. This is the method. When I click on this button control, I would like to call this method on show all accounts. Here I'm preparing a method over here. Now on show all accounts over here. So now this is a method. We have a method is available here. Now here I would like to invoke this method over here. Now what is the method of your Apex class? Now we have to specify, okay, get all accounts. Get all accounts dot then, okay. Now we can specify that if it is returning the result, then I would like to store them into my JavaScript property here. I would like to store them to a JavaScript property. What is the property here? Account records. Account records equals to the result. Here we can specify this dot account records equals to. Now I would like to store that result. Now I'm indicating this. Here I'm indicating dot catch. If there is any errors are available here, then we would like to specify. I would like to show the error information, like as console.log errors occurred. Okay, error. That's it. Over. Now. So now here in this case, so I'm going to be calling this method over here. Upon click on this button control, I'm invoking this method. So now this method will be invoking my method, my Apex class method. So now once it is executed, then if it is returning the result, then we can store inside this variable, that means JavaScript property. And now it is representing this records on my Lightning Web Component. Suppose if there is any errors are available, then it will be showing that in the console log here. That's it, done. Now, so let me save this code, run this. Now let's go back to our Lightning app, refresh this. Now it is showing the button control. When you click on this show all accounts, it will be displaying these records here. Now here it is representing 5 records. Why? As part of Apex class method, I have given limit class here. So I want to show all. Save this Apex class. Now refresh this. Now it is not showing the records directly. When I click on the button control, then only it will represent. Click on show all accounts, so we can see all the account records available, whatever we have. Whatever the account records are available, each and every account record will be getting visible in the form of a Lightning card control. So this is the way we can able to invoke your Apex class methods, okay, upon loading the page by using wiring a property and then write to a function and then through imperative methods by using button clicks. So we have invoked that method directly over here. Okay, this is how we are going to be working this. Now, let me place this code. Now, this is the way we can able to use these controls. Now, so now do the practice on this one today. Tomorrow I will show you how can we use search mechanism. Okay, how can we use search mechanism? I will place one text box over there, and then I will pass some value. Based on that value, it has to fetch the matching records from the object. And then how can we represent them on our Lightning component by using tabular format, by using Lightning data table. We'll see practically in tomorrow's session. And then we'll see how can we represent the toast messages also. We'll see practically in tomorrow's session over here. Tomorrow we have the session as usual at normal times. Okay. Thank you.